Hi, and welcome to Plan First Live. I'm Sean Larkin, and I'm from Plan First Pinnacle Design. We're based in Auckland, and we specialize in architectural design, landscaping design, interior design. We design globally, not just in New Zealand. So you are welcome to put comments as we go through the talk today. Every week we have a different topic. And at any time, you're welcome to add to the chat. I will answer your questions during this half an hour that we do have. Alternatively, you can give me a shout afterwards. My details will be on the screen towards the end of the chat. And let's dive straight into it. What are we going to be talking about today? So today's topic is going to be discussing how do you create a cozy bedroom. What we do is quite often when I come across homeowners, they're either focusing on either architectural design or interior design or landscaping design. And I believe all three should be addressed at the same time. Have a master plan of what you're doing. So it is a holistic experience. It's not, you can't experience architecture without experiencing the interior design or decorating, unless your house is an empty shell and you've just moved in which case you need to decorate it. So what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at what makes a bedroom cozy. And after that, we're going to have a look at all three of those elements, architecture, interior, and landscaping design, and how they can enhance your bedroom. So if I were to say to you, what makes a bedroom cozy, I'm sure most of you would agree that a hotel bedroom or a hotel room is normally quite a cozy space. And why would that be? If I had to holistically put it into one sentence, it's a complete sensory experience. So every element is looked at carefully, every element is designed. There are certain checklists, if you like, that you can go through. And we're going to just have a look and address each one individually today. So firstly, in a hotel room, the bed would be the centerpiece. That would be the sort of focal point of the room. And what do you need to look at specifically with the bed? So normally you would have a thick mattress, you'd have mattress toppers, nice crisp sheets. Normally they are white, but I mean, one doesn't have to stick with white. Multiple pillows, heavy duvets. The beds are always tightly made. And what we call the layering setup, which you have on the bed, just makes it feel soft, clean, and indulgent. The next thing is the lighting. Lighting in a hotel room, you'll often see there's not just one center light. You'll have bedside lights, you'll have wall lights, LED lights. All the lights will also be on dimmers, so that you can set it according to your preference. And again, the light bulbs that you look at will be warm white. They will not be white light. In any bedroom, you would have that as well. Mostly in an interior of a house, unless you're in a bathroom or a kitchen, you'd look at the warm lighting. But more so in a bedroom, of course, because that's the space where you're going to relax and you're going to sleep. Next up, the room is uncluttered. Now, it sounds a little bit bizarre, but you can't really relax if you are surrounded by clutter. So you want just enough objects that the room doesn't feel empty, but you don't want so many objects that it feels messy. So you can relax a lot easier if your space is uncluttered and clean. And then textures. Textures in this instance is doing all the work. Things like soft carpets. And it's interesting. on the topic of carpets, a soft carpet goes a long way compared to a harder or a looped carpet. So have a look carefully when you choose your carpets for your home. In your bedrooms, make sure that you have the cut pile carpets that are a lot more luxurious. And I would suggest spend a little bit more of your budget on that carpet in the bedroom, because it does give you a much softer, inviting feel underfoot. Have a look at upholstered headboards as well, heavy curtains, crisp cotton. You can have wood paneling if you like in bedrooms. And you can have some stone surfaces, not much though. I would say rather stick with natural materials that are warmer, like the woods. But with a combination of these textures, the room does feel a lot warmer and more inviting. The colors, we talk about colors a lot. Go for the calming colors, the neutrals, creams, beiges, browns, grays, soft gold. If you go for grays, be careful of blue grays. Go for the more rich undertones. And these neutral colors do give you a feeling of rest. And it gives you the impression that it's a luxurious, more expensive space. And there's nothing to distract you. There's no bright reds or bright yellows, because you want to move away from that in a bedroom space. It is a space where you're going to unwind and sleep for the evening. In a hotel room, you'll see that everything is arranged for ease. So you'll have carpets at the bedside tables. You'll have reading lamps. You'll have block-out curtains. You'll always have a chair. You'll always have a desk. There's, in a hotel room, always place for your luggage. Climate control, important so that that room is never too hot or too cold. It always will just, you want to create a environment where you're extremely comfortable. So if it's going to be too hot, uncomfortable, too cold, also uncomfortable. And of course, in a hotel, you've got room service. So everything is placed in its place very intentionally so that it does make for a better experience. Then sound and temperature are controlled in hotel rooms. Thick walls, carpeted floors, headboards often are upholstered as well. You've got good insulation. You've got quiet HVAC, so your air conditioning doesn't make too much of a noise. Lots of soft furnishings. All those soft furnishings are going to absorb noise and help you to control the acoustics. And it'll just make you feel private and peaceful. You don't want to hear the people in the room next door to you, or quite often as well, double glazing in the windows so that you don't have the outside noise coming in. So those are just a couple of tips. Then what you really want is, in a hotel room, for instance, it makes you feel like you're having a break from daily life. You are most probably on holiday unless you're traveling for work, but there's no piles of laundry lying around. There's no clutter. There's no chores, no reminders of work. It's really just a place that you can walk in, you can breathe, life feels good. And it gives you that permission to relax. So you might be saying, yes, but that's in a hotel room. That's not my bedroom at home where I live. So let's have a look and see how you can replicate the same thing at home. And we'll have a look at all three of the disciplines, which I mentioned previously. I don't like to look at them in isolation because I think they all go hand in hand. And you don't have, if you are buying a home, you can't always implement some of the things that we're going to talk about. You can't lower the ceiling, for instance, without incurring quite a lot of cost. So pick and choose whatever suits your specific environment. And at the end of the day, you're going to get pretty close. So if we have a look at the architectural features, this is really the foundation, and it's the bones of the room. So you try in a room to make it human scaled. You wouldn't want incredibly high ceilings or very harsh white light. So if you can lower the ceilings, the wood timber in ceilings in bedrooms does work very well, a light timber. You can go for dark timber if it's the style of your house, but you can have beams, you can have some paneling, and avoid overly large walls. If you do have a large, open, expensive wall, put some kind of artwork there. You can put a sculpture in front. You can put a pot plant. There's various ways to deal with that. But just having a look at this picture, for instance, here we're very nicely marrying all three disciplines together. You've got a good architectural component. You've got view into a courtyard, which I say quite often is my favorite. So you've got the landscape coming in, and you've also got your furnishings very tastefully furnished. So if you can get all three of these elements to speak to each other, you're halfway there. Well, 90% of the way there, actually. Then your natural lighting. We all try and have a lot of light, a lot of glass, large window panes nowadays. But with that comes a lot of natural light, and often that can be very harsh natural light. So make sure you put some sheer curtains. You can, of course, open them if you want that light to come in. But if you don't, you can close them. You'll still have the light coming in, but you won't have that the harsh sunlight coming in. If you want heavier curtains in front of that, you can go for a heavier blockout curtain that you can close if you want to have that room. So if it's full moon, often that full moon does come through the curtains. So you can close it off and black it out quite nicely should you wish to. Morning light in a bedroom is ideal. You don't really want heavy, bright, hot afternoon sun in a bedroom. So keep that in mind if you are lucky enough to be designing your own space or have a designer designing it for you. Then you want your bedroom to be as easy to live in and as comfortable as possible. So have a look and see, how do you live? Do you always have your devices next to your bed on your bedside table? If you do you have somewhere where you can charge those devices that is going to be hidden away? You don't want cables all over the show. You want minimal clutter as far as possible. This example has got very nice warm paneling with LED lights in it. So quite a nice combination here. They've got a couple of artifacts as well, which we'll talk about later. But built-in shelving, fantastic. This is all if you are building or doing a renovation, you can incorporate these sorts of things into the design. Then your materials to look at in a bedroom would be the softer, and I'm saying softer, I mean timber is a soft material as far as architectural materials goes. So timber instead of concrete, for instance. Natural stone, I would keep that more to a minimum, personally. But the timber does bring in a degree of warmth. And then avoid too much glass. If you do have a lot of glass, then just remember those sheer curtains. Metals, keep to a minimum as well. And high gloss finishes, steer away from that for a bedroom, because it does detract really from that feeling of relaxation. Keep that rather for your kitchens and your bathrooms. Then acoustic comfort, still on architectural. You would have a look at the softer surfaces like the timber, which would just make for a quieter, calmer space. When you are doing your carpets, again, I would not necessarily put a closed loop in. I would put a cut pile carpet in a bedroom, just for the underfoot feel. And you could also have a look at the niche that they've got behind the bed in this image with LED light. That is also a nice way to reduce your acoustic noise. Anything that can't directly bounce off a wall is a bonus. So just having this little bit of a setback would be good for acoustics as well as aesthetics. Then moving on to the interior design and decorating. You want to layer things. You know, we layer planting as well. You want to layer your interior decorating. So have your layers of pillows, even carpets. In this instance, we've got a timber floor with a rug. But even if you have got a carpet as the floor finish, you can quite easily put another rug on top of that. So it's just about building on those layers. You can mix your textures. We spoke about that as well. So don't have everything the same texture. You want those different textures. It brings in interest and it just gives that feel of luxury. Lighting, not one central overhead light. You can quite easily, if you are buying an existing house or if you are renting and you don't have the luxury of being able to change the lighting that you have, you can firstly change light bulbs so that they're warm light. You can have bedside tables with warm lights. You can have loose standing lamps as well. If you have a chair in the room, have a loose standing lamp next to it. You don't have to put all the lights on at once. So you can choose which lights you're going to put on depending on the mood that you're wanting to create. You want it in your bedroom, you actually want the color of the light to be similar to that of a sunset. Because I think within us as humans, when the day is done and we start heading towards the evening, we naturally start just turning ourselves down. We're wired to do that. So if you can replicate that in your bedroom as part of your lighting, it'll immediately just your body will sense that it is time to just start relaxing. Color palettes, important in bedrooms as well. Go for warm neutrals, so your beiges, soft browns, golds, muted greens, as we've got in this image. So just avoid stark whites or overly cool grays. If you are going to be using very dark colors or black, keep that probably to a feature wall. I wouldn't paint the whole room in a black. We've got a bit of stonework here above the bed. So that's a feature in itself. You don't really need even an artwork there, although you could put one there. But that is a beautiful feature just on its own. So different things to look at in the room as well. Although the bed is definitely the centerpiece and the focal point, it has got secondary focal points, being the wall that's painted in a different color, the stonework above the headboard, but it all ties in quite nicely. And that's important, is to make sure with your mood board that you're going to do before you actually furnish your room, is that all the materials and the colors actually match each other. And then personalize it. Have some artifacts, have some sculptures, the books that you're reading, not too many, you want to stay away from the clutter, but have a couple of things that are personal to you, because you do want it to feel like a home and not a showroom at the end of the day. So many ways to do that. And then hotel rooms, I don't think I mentioned this earlier. When you walk into a hotel room, very often it's got a specific scent, and they very intentionally do that because it just gives. I remember traveling once and walking into the foyer of the hotel, and it smelled. There was if I can say, it was almost the orange cinnamon scent. And I've never forgotten that. It's really something that has stuck in my mind. So sensory is very important. You can have candles, you can have essential oils. It's often overlooked, but it is very powerful. And then moving on to the landscaping. My personal favorite, and I think we can incorporate that into the new builds very, very easily, is courtyards. Create a private courtyard outside the bedroom, even if it's just the main bedroom. You can quite easily do it with all the bedrooms, I believe. Have a door instead of a window. We're digressing now back to architectural, but to keep these things in mind when you are designing a home. You know, we often tend to just fall back on traditional layouts and traditional, a bedroom must have a window and not a door. Doors are for lounge areas. But challenge those beliefs and do something different for yourself. If you want a door going out of your bathroom into the garden, why not? But getting back to bedrooms. So plants always bring that sense of calm in. It softens the space. It improves the perceived air quality. And it also adds that movement that we spoke about last week with indoor plants. If you do have a courtyard, it's almost like you are borrowing the landscape and bringing it into the room. And the view becomes a part of the room. It actually becomes your secondary focal point. If you've got the bed as the main focal and your courtyard landscape as your secondary, what a fantastic way to live every day. And think of it as a living artwork, because that really is what it is. Make sure you have plants that don't need too much maintenance if you're not an avid gardener, and just make it nice and lush and tropical so that it actually feels as if you are on one of the islands, having a holiday on one of the islands. It's a really good way to end the day, especially if you have a stressful work life. Lovely to go into a bedroom that is welcoming and peaceful. At night, you want to light that courtyard. So you don't just have the privilege of having the plants visible during the day. You want to light them up at night and have them as part of your nighttime routine as well. Layer your planting, highest at the back, medium in front of that, and your ground covers in the front. So you're making the most of that vertical space you've got. It also, it softens the wall. If you were just to have your courtyard wall with no vegetation in front of it, it would be quite harsh. But the minute you put plants on, even if it's creepers, immediately softens it and gives it just a totally different feel. And that actually becomes an extension of your bedroom. You can actually scale down the size of your bedroom if you do have an outside courtyard. Keep those doors and windows open and have that as an extension. And then, yes, you don't want hard fencing. You want that vegetation to bring that softness in and to bring the landscaping into the house. So just removing that harshness. I know that we do have questions coming in, so I'll get to them in a minute. But just to sum it up, really the architecture creates the shelter. The interior decorating creates the comfort. And the landscaping actually gives you that feeling of connection and transition between inside and outside. Try and have all three, at least a few elements of all three disciplines to give you just a really great experience when you do retire. You've had your day, it's been a busy day, work's busy, kids are, running around doing sport, doing homework, and you spend most of your day chasing your own tail. You want to have that beautiful relaxation when you go into your bedroom, unwind, spend a bit of solitary time, and get some sleep to do it all again tomorrow. So when all three of these disciplines work together, your bedroom actually becomes more than a place to sleep. It actually becomes a place to recharge. And that's really what it's all about, is making your bedroom the best possible place for you to recharge for the following day. I'm going to have a look at some of the questions that have come in. I'll just put some on the screen. Okay, let's show this one. Oh, this is interesting. How can renters create a cozy bedroom without renovating? Um, Firstly, you can't obviously change the architecture, but what you can do is mats, your bedding. Make sure you've got nice plush bedding, mattress toppers, the textures we spoke about. Do it in soft furnishings and lamps. These are all things that you can move when you move to your next property. So they can move with you. You are not sort of spending money that you would need to leave behind. So just try and do that. The planting as well. Put the plants in pots. You can move all those things with you. If you have got curtain rails, change the curtains if you like. Most rental properties are painted in a neutral color anyway, so you can just elevate it by putting maybe sheer curtains or the blackout curtains. So you can get pretty close to what we've had a look at today, even if you are in a rental property. Okay, this is also interesting. How do you create coziness in a bedroom shared by two people with different styles? So have the base as a neutral palette, and then bring in items that are special to both parties, to both people. Try and work together as opposed to working in conflict with each other. And there's enough space, you're not going to cram it full of things that you wouldn't want to do that, but just have a couple of special items for each person so that each person is seen and heard in that space. Another one we have, does technology affect how cozy a bedroom feels? I would say yes. And just having a look at, most of us would charge our phones and devices at night. So make sure you don't have cables all over the place, because the last thing you want to see when you walk into your room to unwind is cables all over the place. So try and have those charging ports built in if you can. Alternatively, just have them in a space that you don't see the cables. Nice to have an aircon in the house, in the room as well, if you can. So I'd say my biggest one here is have your lights on timers if you want, so that by the time you actually go to that bedroom, if it is dark outside, which it probably is, your lights are on and they are set to the brightness that you want. So I would say that we might have time for one more. Let's see what else we have. Last one. What's one simple change that instantly makes a bedroom feel more inviting? I would definitely say the lighting. You want warm lighting instead of light lighting, and the dimmers, of course. If you are in a rental and you only have one central light and you still find that too bright, nothing wrong with lighting the candles at night and just not even using that overhead light. So there's lots of ways to work around items that could seem like potentially blockages, but yeah, just work around them. And then to introduce next week's topic, which is moving more towards the architectural side, which is my specialty, we're going to have a look at, this is something I get asked a lot. If you have one floor plan, how do you make that floor plan? How can you universally use that floor plan for different styles? Some people might want, often what I get is people do come to me and they've got an idea of what they want. They've done a little sketch or they've seen something somewhere. They love the layout, but they hate the style. And then they often say to me, but how can you give us the style we want and the layout we want? So that's something we're going to have a look at next year. Sorry, not next year, next week. I don't know where that came from. Nevertheless, we'll have a look at that next week. And you will see what I have done is I've added my email address to the last slide. So any questions, anytime, you're welcome to drop me an email. Otherwise, you can reach us on our Facebook page or our 0800 number. Our website as well, anytime, you're welcome to get in touch. And I look forward to seeing everyone again next week. Thank you.